Hello there friends, welcome back to another episode of Generation Tech. My name is Alan. Today's video will contain a discussion and spoilers from episode 6 of the book of Boba Fett. So if you haven't seen that episode, feel free to tune in. I'll wait for you for a few seconds. So in this new episode, there's a lot of things to unpack here. From the return of Cobb Vanth to the return, and I guess first time appearance in live action of Cad Bane, there's also the reappearance of Ahsoka Tano and Luke Skywalker. But the main story that will have wider consequences on the future of Star Wars history is the training sequence of Gogurt by Master Luke. It takes up a huge chunk of this episode. First, I have to say the CGI and deepfake algorithm is getting a bit better. Luke's face still looks a bit weird, but things seem to be progressing in the right direction. What isn't progressing in the right direction is Luke's new Jedi Temple. Look, I know that seeing Luke training a baby version of Yoda is a satisfying full circle for a lot of fans to see, and when I was watching the training montage, I was full of nostalgia and also a sensation that I was witnessing something very important. But then I remembered a few things about the unfortunate sequel trilogy. Luke Skywalker doesn't turn into a wise and kind old Jedi Master. He's not surrounded by his apprentices and their apprentices. Instead, we found him tired, dejected, and living as a hermit, awaiting death by himself. Now, Luke does eventually redeem himself to a certain degree in the sequels, but his attempt to restart the Jedi Order was a complete failure. And now we're witnessing the beginning of that struggle. This is one of the most important things that happens in the sequel trilogy, and it is a continuation of the criticism of the Jedi established by the prequel series. The Jedi are well aware that fear can lead to anger, which can lead to hate, which can lead to suffering. During the Old Republic period, the saying was printed on one of the most popular t-shirts being sold in the Jedi Temple gift shop. And yes, if you wore this kind of shirt on Coruscant, I would judge you as a Adoran tourist. This creed is how a lot of onlookers saw the Jedi. They saw them as fearless individuals, fearless of death and physical dangers, fearless of politicians and warlords in diplomatic situations. These were warriors that did not let their emotions, specifically the negative ones, affect their behavior. But a closer look at the organizational structure of the Jedi Temple and the various rules that the Jedi High Council imposes on its members shows a very, very fearful organization. And despite not being raised in that structure, Master Luke has somehow still adopted many of the ancient Jedi's more troubling ways. We see this towards the end of episode 6, when Master Luke makes Baby Yoda choose between being a Mandalorian or a Jedi, which is just the wrong way to go about things. But before we continue, guys, a word from today's sponsor, Onasaber.com. So far, we've already shown you Onasaber.com's premium Xenopixel light bearer. Today, we have the Cypher Blade. So guys, this is going to be a less expensive blade, and that is because the internal components here are a bit more simple, which means that the overall product is a lot lighter and it's better balanced, which makes it more suitable for all sorts of shenanigans like sparring and actual training. The Cypher does this all without sacrificing many of the same features that the Xenopixel had, like customized colors, different sound effects, and different types of modes. Anyone who purchased the Cypher before February 15th will be entered into a free giveaway for another dueling lightsaber of their choice. If this sounds like something you want to check out, go to Onasaber.com. We'll link the website down below. They're going to be giving you 20% off of all lightsabers, plus if you use my promo code MEOW, that's all caps, you can get another 10% off. The Jedi Order was preceded by an ancient organization known as the Jedi. Their practitioners believed that the Force could be balanced within an individual instead of throughout the cosmos. This organization wasn't about dark side users versus light side users. The Jedi would have seen both the Sith and the Jedi as extremist groups. Instead, the Jedi realized that the dark and light side were a part of every individual, and each side of the Force had its own uses and purposes. The Jedi believed it was optimal to teach each individual how to control both sides of the Force so that they could find peace and balance within themselves. This is an incredibly harmonious organization until one day some Jedi began focusing only on dark side studies. This would lead to the first of many great schisms between the dark side fanatics and those trying to rebalance the Force. But of course, these types of conflicts also made those who oppose the dark side become extreme as well, and soon this party would turn into the modern day Jedi Order, which only believes in the light side of the Force. But then again, this organization actually wasn't about balance or even the light side of the Force. It was more about destroying the dark side, which of course is impossible. And so ever since, light side Jedi have this huge irrational fear that many of their members will suddenly just turn to the dark side without reason. And so the Jedi have imposed a series of very restrictive and fear-based edicts and rules to prevent the same from happening to future Padawan. It's for this reason why the Jedi generally separate their new recruits from their family before they're even old enough to talk or form long-lasting memories. The Jedi fear that an individual who remembers his family will have an emotional attachment to them that can be exploited by the dark side of the Force. A good example of this was Anakin's attachment to Padme. When he started having visions of her dying, it led him to desperately trust Chancellor Palpatine, who also happened to be a Sith Lord. But at the same time, I would argue that Anakin's fall to the dark side was also caused by the Jedi somewhat because of their inability to recognize Anakin as an individual. This is sort of the problem with blanket solutions like the ones that the Jedi use to control their members. While separating someone like Obi-Wan Kenobi from his family worked because it was done at an extremely young age, separating a 9-year-old like Anakin from his mother is quite cruel. Most of the time, Force users of his age wouldn't even be considered by the Jedi for recruitment. But Qui-Gon Jinn essentially died protecting him, so they made a special concession to that rule. In the same way, Luke is now facing a very similar decision when it comes to Baby Yoda. The small guy clearly has a very close connection to Din Djarin, and he's far too old now to forget the Mandalorian. Yet you see Ahsoka Tano and Luke Skywalker peddling the same old nonsense. I mean, is this really about keeping a recruit away from their family, or is it about keeping your recruits surrounded by Jedi only, so that they're isolated and easier to mold? I mean, Din Djarin flew from the other side of the galaxy to come see this guy and bring him a small coat of mithril. I mean, Beskar. By the way, what are the odds of Baby Yoda running into a gigantic spider and that chainmail saving his life? Anyway, Ahsoka guilts Din Djarin into not seeing the little Go-Gurt. She convinces Din Djarin that he is a distraction for the little guy and that if he truly cares for Go-Gurt, he should leave. This is all pointless, of course, because the little guy sees his Mando dad fly off anyway. If Go-Gurt wasn't thinking about Din Djarin before, he definitely is now. And just because the Jedi are willing to keep the Mandalorian away from Go-Gurt doesn't mean that the young Jedi will become less attached to him. It's possible not seeing him will make Go-Gurt miss Din Djarin even more. I mean, relationships are a beautiful thing, especially the longer and more fruitful ones which are full of mutual respect, love, and cooperation. Din Djarin and Baby Yoda's relationship is certainly that, plus a bit more drama and tension, which is why
two share a strong bond.
And so if the Jedi knew about this attachment, why didn't Luke just refuse to teach Go-Gurt from the beginning? I mean, sure, he's giving an option now with this choice kind of situation. Or better yet, why doesn't Luke just try to teach Go-Gurt but still allow him to be connected to Din Djarin? Isn't taking a Force-sensitive child permanently from their parents very similar in effect to orphaning a child by killing their parents? In both situations, there is great trauma from the loss of one's parent. Unless they're too young to actually remember their parents, which is why I guess it's more ethical when you do it to newborns. The Jedi should have rescued Shmi Skywalker from the very beginning, based on several reasons. 1, they are Jedi, the defenders of the weak and wretched. 2, slavery is an affront to their beliefs. And 3, having a positive role model for Anakin would have helped him adjust to his new situation and feel more secure. And perhaps most importantly, if Qui-Gon Jinn had saved Shmi Skywalker, Anakin would have never went to Tatooine to try and rescue his mother himself, and he would have never arrived too late to prevent his mother's death. Anakin would go on to slaughter the entire village of Tusken Raiders who were responsible for his mother's death. This was one of Anakin's first steps towards the dark side. And if you think about it, Anakin had to do this without telling the Jedi Order because they would have never let him do this. They would have flagged this as an attachment immediately. The end result is this only created more tension and distrust between Anakin and the Jedi Order. What's surprising to me is that Ahsoka Tano would have known about this story. She was Anakin's apprentice and, more importantly, a close friend and ally. When the Jedi Order kicked her out and the Republic accused her of bombing the Jedi Temple, it was Anakin's emotional attachment to her that made him never give up on her. Anakin remained the only Jedi who believed that she was innocent. The whole reason she left the Jedi Order was because of how rigid and stupid they had become. Ahsoka Tano saw firsthand what a passionate and emotional Jedi like Anakin Skywalker could achieve. And it wasn't all that bad. Remember that time when Ahsoka Tano and Barriss Offee got trapped beneath the Geonosian weapons factory when they brought it down on top of themselves. Master Luminara took one look at that pile and was like, I'll just grab another Padawan. You gotta let go of this one because it would be an attachment to search the rubble for her.
I too care for my apprentice. But if their time has come...
I refuse to let Ahsoka die.
Anakin, however, never gives up on Ahsoka and ends up rescuing both of the trapped Jedi. Anakin might be emotional here, he might be attached to Ahsoka Tano, but he saves 2 Padawans' lives because he actually cares, whereas Master Luminara is just attached and ready to move on. Clearly she is wrong in this situation.
I knew they were still alive. I told you we shouldn't give up on them.
It's not that I gave up, Skywalker, but... There's not enough time. I sense them drifting away.
No, we'll get them out.
You see, not all Jedi are going to turn to the dark side just because they have emotions and attachment to loved ones. This is a really, really stupid idea. And that's because each individual is different. What Anakin really needed wasn't some blanket policy that doesn't work for anyone perfectly. He needed a custom program tailored to his needs. What Anakin wanted more than anything was a group of friends and family that he could belong to and call home. He is a classic example of a child who has abandonment issues.
The closer I get to you, the worse it gets. The thought of not being with you, I can't breathe.
Family and friendship are very basic human and even Jedi needs, but because Anakin Skywalker is the chosen one, he was never fully accepted by his peers. Also, he joined his class much later on than most individuals. On top of that, we still have the awkward fact that the Jedi didn't save his mother, and also saw Anakin as a threat and potentially in the pockets of Palpatine. And so Anakin doesn't go to Obi-Wan Kenobi or Yoda when he starts having those visions of Padme dying, because he just doesn't feel comfortable being amongst the Jedi. I mean, he's kept his entire marriage a secret because it's technically illegal under Jedi bylaws. He knows ultimately that the Jedi will not be understanding. They will be strict and punitive and fearful. Anakin Skywalker saw how the Jedi treated his apprentice when she was accused of bombing the Jedi Temple. He knows that they have no compassion for their members. So it's not hard at all for Anakin to suddenly change sides and view the Jedi as evil, as he would during Order 66. And so it's incredibly stupid for Luke to make Gogurt choose between the Beskar and Yoda's old lightsaber. I mean, why can't he have both? Beskar mail is an honorable defensive tool. There's nothing in the Jedi Code that says warriors can't wear armor to protect themselves. Besides, Yoda's lightsaber in this case is a weapon, and it's a more offensive tool that represents aggression and the failures of another generation of Jedi. Clearly, Luke doesn't really know what he's doing here anyway. He's just trying to revive a lot of the old Jedi traditions because the Jedi are all gone. But why doesn't he just try to throw away the old rules because they failed the Jedi in the first place? Why doesn't he just try to start a new Jedi based on his own theories and intuition? So I really hope that Baby Yoda doesn't pick up that lightsaber. I hope he goes for the Mithril armor, or Beskar. There's also the chance that he might get both because, why not? I mean, who else is going to wield that tiny little lightsaber except for Baby Yoda? Well, I think Ahsoka Tano also carries a shorter blade, but the point is that lightsaber is built for the little guy, and I wouldn't want to see it go anywhere else. But the thing is, Baby Yogurt could still be the Mandalore, and that is because, like Tar Vizsla, he's both Jedi Padawan and also Foundling. So that's something to think about, guys. Let me know in the comment section below what you think Baby Gogurt is going to do. Hopefully we'll find out at the end of this season. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification button down below so you don't miss out on the rest of our awesome content. And as usual, thanks for joining us today. If you're watching this, you are Generation Tech.